Let's talk about books, baby. Let's talk about. Oh, and coffee. Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Bryndís, and in today's video, I'm talking about all the books I read in March. So I actually read like 12 books in March, which is a little bit crazy to think about. But a few of them were short, so I'm sure and like a fast read. So I'm sure, I don't because I was so busy in March. I don't understand how I managed to read that much. But like I said, some of them were quite short and very easy, quick reads. March was a good month. Like I said, I was able to spend quality time with family and friends, and I bought a car. Oh, so cute. Very cute, beautiful little Hyundai. Perfect for city life. So I'm finally with a car. I haven't had a car in almost a year and a half, and which isn't a problem for where I live in Reykjavik. It's very easy for me to take the bus to work and take the bus wherever I need. There are like several buses. I live very close to downtown, so it's very easy. But having a car is definitely more convenient, for sure. But yeah, I love my car. But here we are to talk about books. So, in my April TBR POP video, I talked about there were two books that I was going to read in March that I didn't get to or didn't finish. And those were Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy and The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. And so I've been reading these in April, but yeah, so I'm not going to talk about them, but they are really good. Love them, all the things, and I look forward to talking about them in my April wrap up. There were also two books that I didn't get to. Well, actually, I DNF'd one of them, but it's a soft DNF, and that is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Yeah. This wasn't the right time. I definitely want to read this book at some point. So it's just back on my shelves. I started to read it and it's just too, I don't know, it's too philosophical or something. And yeah. Which is weird because I could read like Anna Karenina and I'm reading Anna Karenina, and which is also very kind of, I don't know, something about this book just made me not want to read it. So I decided to soft DNF it, and I will get to it at some point. And then the other book that I didn't get to is like super short, but it's The Sorrows of Young Werther by Goethe. And yeah, it just, again, not the time. It just did not call to me at all. So those books I did not read in March, but I did read several other really good books. And firstly, in the beginning of March, I got so angry and disgusted by that orange ape. So him talking about Ukraine. So I remembered that I had decided that I wanted to read some Ukrainian literature, because I don't really know anything about Ukrainian literature. And there were some interesting classical authors that I want to read. Definitely, if you know anything about Ukrainian literature, please leave it in the comments below. I did Google it, and so there were some bigger names. I didn't recognize any of them, but that wrote like in the 19th century. Most of them seem to have written in Russian, which is fine. Obviously, a lot of Ukrainians have like Russian as their first language, but so I didn't know what to choose, and I couldn't find the books like as audiobooks, and I didn't have time to go to a library, or I didn't make the time to go to a library to look at it, or like do stuff like that. So I found 2 contemporary books that I read, and I listened to both of them as audiobooks. And the first book is actually a nonfiction. It is Looking at Women, Looking at You by Victoria Amelina. So this book, it was so powerful. So it takes place in the current war in Ukraine, and it's stories of women who are in the war investigating war crimes committed by the Russian soldiers and the Russian government in Ukraine. And some of the women were also investigating the war crimes back in like 2014 with the initial invasion by Russia, and then again in 2021, 22, sorry, when they invaded again, the current war. And it was just very powerful. So it's all women who are just doing their thing to try to fight the invasion and just the atrocities committed by the Russians. And it's very powerful. And it's even more powerful because, so the author, she was a journalist, I think, but she'd also been writing books. But she kind of pivoted into this like a war journalist, or like investigative journalism type of a thing. And so she was going around in Ukraine, talking to people and writing down the stories. And it's kind of like a diary or journal type of a book, her journal, talking to these people, telling their stories, but also her own kind of life going into it as well. So powerful. And the author actually died in the war. So she was in a restaurant that was bombed by the Russians, and so she died of her wounds. So she didn't actually finish the book, but there like a team of editors that took the notes that she had and were able to like kind of finish it, or at least make it so that they were able to publish it. And it was very intense, very powerful. Like 100% recommend that you read this book. It's so good, and it just gives you just such an insight into what it's like for just a normal person to all of a sudden just be, in a war, and like not being able to live it was very powerful. So I really enjoyed it. It's obviously a weird word to use, but it just had a huge impact on me, and I thought it was very good, and definitely you should check it out. And then the other Ukrainian book that I read is The Silver Bone by Andrei Kurkov. So this is very interesting. This is Andrei Kurkov, actually, I think he writes actually in Russian. So he's Ukrainian with Russian as his mother tongue, or first language, or whatever. I don't know. I would also really like to know more about the history of Ukraine. Ukraine, yeah, that's how you say it, yeah. And I know Kiev from like the Viking Age, because there's a lot of mention of that city in the Icelandic sagas. Some of the Icelandic sagas mention the Norse name for Kiev, and so there was obviously a lot of trade, and some say that Kiev was settled originally by Vikings. I'm not sure if that's true or not. Maybe it's just, the Vikings wanting to take credit for everything, because that's very Icelandic as well. So I don't know, but I know something about Ukraine from like way back in the day, but I don't know really so much about the relationship between Russia and Ukraine. Obviously, I know that Ukraine was part of the Russian Empire, like with the Tsar back, from whenever, and then obviously it was part of the USSR. But the nation of Ukraine, the language of Ukraine, the Ukrainian like culture, I don't really know a lot about, and I would love to educate myself on that. So if you know any good books about that, I would absolutely love to read something like that. So please leave that in the comments as well. But obviously I will do a lot of Googling and go to a library and stuff like that, or buy books when I can buy books again. Next year I'm gonna be like 5 videos a week, because I'm gonna be doing so many projects and reading so much when I'm free of this PhD. But I want to know more about India, and I want to know more about Ukraine. Those are I think probably gonna be my big projects, like historical project for the next couple of years. Anyway, this book, The Silver Bone, so this is the first book. I think it's gonna be a trilogy, and the second book I think is coming out this year. I don't think it's been published already, but it's coming out in 2025. So this is historical fiction, and it takes place, or starts at least in 1919. So it's just after the First World War. So the rise of communism, the revolution has taken place is taking place in Russia. The Tsar and his family have they already been killed or like replaced or whatever. So, and then it's like it takes place in Kiev, and the main character is Samson, who's just like this young man, and in the beginning of the book, his father is killed, and he gets injured and like loses an ear, which is very interesting, because there's like this kind of supernatural element to it, that he's somehow connected to his ear, that is like he is like put in a box in a drawer in his father's desk, but he can like hear from his ear. It's very interesting. It's very like the author does this so well. It's really, the book is fun. It's heartbreaking and like heartwarming, but it's suspenseful, and it's just very interesting to read about something like that is taking place when society is changing so much, and basically one evil is being replaced by another evil, and the poor people are just kind of stuck in the middle there. And yeah, so it was fantastic. It was 5 stars for me. I just sped through it, like I listened to it on 1.0. I did not speed it up, I couldn't do anything except listening to this book, because it was just very suspenseful, very good. And I cannot wait for the next couple of books in this trilogy. So I'm definitely reading those. So 5 stars. The Silver Bone is, very good. And now we have Moby Dick. This book was very interesting. I'm very proud of myself for having read it. It's very long. My edition is like over 1,000 pages. Moby Dick. I did put it down at one point so I started reading it in February, and I put it down at one point thinking, I can't read this book. It's just not the right time. And then I watched Nikki's videos on my messy bookshelf. She has like a series of videos talking about this book, and I decided to go ahead and listen to or watch her videos up to chapters that I had watched. And so that reignited my desire to read this book. So the reason I wanted to DNF it was not because I wasn't enjoying it, it was just maybe not, like I said, I have a lot going on in my life. So it didn't feel like I was really giving it the full attention that it needed. Because you need to pay attention when you're reading this book. So, but I got really re-interested in it, and I continued on with it, and I finished it, and I'm very happy that I did because I really loved this book. So, the beginning of the book I think is fantastic when you're getting to know. I think the narrator is Ismael, and I love how this book starts. Call me Ismael. The first. Everybody knows this first sentence of a book. Call me Ismael. And I don't remember what is his name. Queequeg. I don't know how you say it. Queequeg. So Queequeg is one of the characters, and they became friends. Ismael and Queequeg became friends, and it's hilarious because Queequeg is, I wonder if he's like Maori from New Zealand, or at least he is of like an indigenous person from somewhere in the Pacific Islands. There are so many funny like little things in this book that I absolutely love. And I really also enjoyed in this book, there are some references to Iceland, like there's like as cold as Iceland and like Mount Hekla. Mount Hekla is like one of the volcanoes here. And so I thought that was really fun. I really loved Ismael. I think that he was such a fun character. At first I was like, oh my God, the way he was describing Queequeg felt very 19th century white European American colonizers, view of the cannibal or the savage or whatever. But at some point, I think he said he would rather be with a sober cannibal than a drunk Christian or something like that. So he feels like a genuinely nice, kind person. And his relationship with Queequeg and their friendship is really fantastic. I really loved that. There's also one point in this book, obviously Captain Ahab is just ridiculous, or not ridiculous, he's obviously insane, but he's just, one of the sailors or his officers is like, what is wrong with this man? Like, why is he trying to get revenge on this whale? It's a whale, like, and I'm like, I know, it's a whale, like, seriously. But I loved the descriptions in this book of the sea, like the men on the ship, the ocean, the whales, the nature, the characters. And it's just, there are definitely parts in this book where it's a little bit drawn out for my liking, which means that I'm giving it 4 stars and not 5, simply because I don't see myself reading this book again. I'm very happy that I've read it, and I enjoyed it, but it's not gonna be like something that I'm necessarily gonna want to read again, I think. But yeah, Moby Dick. I do recommend it. I think that you should read it for sure. And yeah, it's a very good book. I actually think I forgot to say that the Samantha Shannon book, The Priory of the Orange Tree and Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy, were both part of the March of the Mammoths. So for me, it's going to be March and April of the Mammoths. Maybe even May, we'll see. But yeah, so I was reading those for that project or that reading event. But there was another reading event in March, which was March Mystery Madness. I think I have it right this time. And in that event, they had some fun prompts or that you could do in like I think a group read and everything. I ignored all of that and I just read the Tommy and Tuppence series by Agatha Christie. There are 5 books. I only own 2 of them as like physical copies. There are 5 of them. There is The Secret Adversary, which I own. Then there is Partners in Crime, N and M, By the Pricking of My Thumb, and Postern of Fate. So yeah, this is, like I said, the Tommy and Tuppence series by Agatha Christie. And so this is probably one of her probably least known series. Like she had all, if you want to call like, so there's obviously Poirot and then there's Miss Marple. And then there are the standalones. There are some like other series I can't remember now, but or like other characters that are reoccurring. And then there's the Tommy and Tuppence. So I actually love Tommy and Tuppence. These books are definitely not as good, in my opinion, as the Hercule Poirot and the Miss Marple books. And some of the standalone novels are like really good. These are not there. But I think they are still, for me at least, worth a read. This was a reread for me. And I love Tommy and Tuppence. Tommy, he is a little bit of a grumpy old man, even though he is not old in all of the books. And like a know-it-all type of a person. But Tuppence, I think, is hilarious and funny. And I love their little, like, I love the fact that you follow them from when they're like in their early 20s until they're in their like 60s probably, rather than 70s. And so you follow their life, as they kind of navigate life together and do some sleuthing. I do wish that these books were murder mysteries. They are not murder mysteries. They are spy novels. So Tommy is working on and off for the government in some sort of a spy intelligence gathering capacity. They are, so they are starting from like in the early 20s, and then they work themselves up until like through the Second World War, and I think up to the 60s or something like that. 50s or 60s, I'm not quite sure. And so there are like Nazis and fascists and crazy scientists and whatever. So it's, like I said, I would probably have enjoyed it more if it would have been like a murder mystery, like proper murder mysteries and not spy novels. Although I don't mind spy novels. I grew up reading like Alistair McQueen and Ken Follett and I think that was his name, Ken Follett, and so I don't mind spy novels, but yeah, I think they would have been more fun if they, like I said, if they were murder mysteries. So The Secret Adversary, I thought it was fun, lovely introduction to the characters, and it was 4 stars, was okay. Partners in Crime, I didn't really enjoy. They were like short stories. Like, they were interconnected though, because they were like, I don't know if you want to call it short stories. They're more like chapters. So that each chapter would have a different crime, basically, that they were investigating. So they were like, they took over this private investigator agency, and they were like investigating different things throughout each chapter or each story, but they were also interconnected. I didn't like that. Was definitely not. That was my least favorite. That was 3 stars. And then N and M is probably my favorite. I really loved that one. That was 5 star for me. By the Pricking of My Thumb, I thought it was also pretty good. 5 stars as well. really enjoyed those two. Those were, I think, kind of just the mystery and the characters and the suspense, I think, was just the best in those two. And then The Postern of Fate was a 4-star for me, and it was still lovely. But I really loved, they had moved to a house in the countryside where the previous owners had left like the bookshelves full of books. So they are just going through books, thinking like what to throw away or not to throw away. Obviously, you don't throw away books, you know. And and it's just really fun how in one scene, Tuppence is like trying to organize the books, and then she always gets like derailed and like ends up reading the books that she's trying to organize. So I was like, yes. I hear you, sister. I hear you. So, but yeah, I enjoy those characters. I think there's a really lovely love story between them and the development of their relationship. And Tuppence, you know, she's always up for fun. Yeah, but I think that if you want to read just a few of Agatha Christie's, you don't need to read these. I would recommend you to rather read Miss Marple and Poirot and a couple of the standalones rather than Tubby and Tuppence. These are definitely not Agatha Christie at her best. So even if I give them 5-star, I can see that they are not as good as the best Poirot books, for example. But I just enjoyed them, so I gave them 5 stars. Then we have a very exciting thing. And that is The Lost Metal by Brandon Sanderson, the last book of the Mistborn series. I finished the Mistborn series. I started this series in July of last year, so it hasn't taken me that long. It's 7 books plus 1 novella. And I read the first trilogy like that. So the last 4 books and the novella have taken me definitely longer, but I really enjoyed this book. I think it was a really good ending to the series, and it was just really fun. Yeah, so this book is very suspenseful, and there's also just a very lovely love story in here as well that I really enjoyed. And it was very interesting because can you see it here? In this novella, which you read between the second to last book and the last book. So this is the Mistborn Secret History that I read before I read this one. And there were a couple of like foreshadowing, I think, not red herrings, but like clues in here that I was just like, what? So I was very keen to read this one and yeah, it's very good. I really enjoyed it. Yes. So I'm giving the series as a whole 4 stars. There were a couple of things in there that wasn't as like maybe it's not fair. I compare everything to Lord of the Rings, so it's not. So this is actually a few hours later, because I realized as I was starting to edit this video that the last clips I filmed, the microphone wasn't working anymore. Like it ran out of power. So I was just finishing up this one. Emma has joined me here, as you can see. And I'm a little bit disheveled. I just came inside from the wind. But anyway, as I was just saying that this is an excellent series. Of course, I compare everything to The Lord of the Rings, and nothing compares to The Lord of the Rings. So I know that's probably not very fair. But this is a really good series. I 100% recommend, as I've said. And yeah, I'm very happy that I read it and I've really enjoyed it. So the next book I want to talk about is The Wager by David Grann. So this is a non-fiction It is a nonfiction, historical nonfiction about the shipwreck of the Wager that happened in 1742. So the Wager was a ship in the English Navy, or part of the English Navy back in the 18th century, and it shipwrecked on the. Does it say here? Yeah, on the coast of. Well, no, it actually shipwrecked on the coast of Chile, South America, and Patagonia, like way south in South America. And so it's basically just the tale of their their story of the people on this ship. And I thought this was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely loved it. 5 stars. I thought there were a lot of things that were really fun. For example, there are a lot of sayings in English that have their origin in this in the Navy, from the Navy, basically. The Navy was a huge part of English armed forces and that kind of defense as well against, for example, the Spanish Armada. So the Navy was, like, since the times of Elizabeth I, at least, the Navy was a huge kind of sense of pride for the English, for sure, and the British. And I thought it was really interesting that he's talking about, there are a lot of like sayings. For example, under the weather. So if you're under the weather, you're kind of not, you're feeling kind of poorly, right? You're not doing well. You're maybe a little bit ill or a little bit sick, and but that comes from in the back in the day, where ailing seamen who were like sick, or if they were sick or ill or whatever, were shielded below decks from the adverse elements outside. They were said to be under the weather. So they were, because they were ill, they were allowed to be below deck to kind of stay warm, I suppose. And so they were under the weather. I think that's fantastic. And there are like several of these, that sayings that come from the Navy. So I think that was, for me, I'm very interested in language, how language develops culture and all of those things. So I think that it's fascinating. But I really enjoyed it. I thought this is so well written. Like sometimes I felt like almost that it was a fiction, like just a story, a book, a novel, because it was just so engaging and so interesting, and really kind of the characters really were engaging, and I kind of got really like engaged in the story. And one of the characters here was the grandfather of Lord Byron, the poet, which is pretty cool. And it was just excellent. Very good, very good. And then the last 2 books that I read were in the Emily Wilde series. So it was Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands and Emily Wilde's Compendium of... No. Oh my goodness. This is since I was filming before. Compendium of Lost Tales. This is the first book, which I'm still very annoyed that the second book is in a different... This was my mistake. It was impulse buying. I didn't check properly. So I bought the different edition, book number 2, from book number 1 and 3. So annoying. So annoying. I'm pretty sure eventually I will end up buying book 2 in these editions, because they are, I really like this edition. I think it's very nice, but these are a little bit, they're different, so I want them to be the same. So I'm very annoyed that impulsivity. Anyway, So the Emily Wilde series. So I really enjoy this series, and I've given all of the books 5 stars. I'm giving them all 5 stars because they are just pure joy, pure fun, easy, cozy, and just I don't know if they would be considered or are considered cozy fantasy because there are quite high stakes. There are people can very easily die. The Fae here are quite brutal, and I like that. So in Icelandic folklore, the elves or the hidden people, the Fae, are they're not cuddly little cute little fairies. Like they are quite nasty and mean, and like you better treat them well and with respect, or they will come at you. There's a reason for why when we're building roads here in Iceland and there's a huge elf rock in the way, we don't move the rock, we move the road. Because you don't want to disturb the elves. You don't want to disturb the hidden people because they will come at you. They will come at you. And that's what they do here. The royal Fae are really fantastic, I think, and realistic in the elf realm. Icelandic elves are not like Elrond from Lord of the Rings. They're not kind, lovely people, just so you know. And I think that there's obviously a lot of Irish folklore in here as well, but I feel that there's also a lot of Icelandic folklore as well, or at least the elf part, or the royal Fae part. At least it's similar. Maybe I have no idea what I'm saying. Anyway, I really, really love this series. I think that it's so fantastic how Fawcett does it with, like, she has footnotes. So these books, oh my God, I'm so chaotic because I just came home from work and I'm just like, oh, okay, calm down. So these books are in the format of journal entries. And she puts like footnotes in there where she's like referencing scholarly work on Fae and fairies. And it's so well done and so realistic that I almost want to go to the library and like check out these books that she's referencing because they feel like real scholarship. So like these are real academics studying the fairies and Fae and like going into the other world, other lands or whatever. It's so well done. The world building is just fantastic. And yeah, the characters are fun. The love story is fun. It's just fun all around. So I recommend this series if you want to have just fun. So, sorry about a little bit of a chaotic ending, but I hope you had a good reading month as well in March. If you've read any of these books or would be interested in reading any of these books, leave a comment below and we can have a chat about them. And yeah, what have you been reading? Tell me all about it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye bye.